Hi guys, welcome back to the Hill Project. Me and Pete are back with our football stuff. It's weird we're doing football stuff over here, Pete. We're not normally allowed, are we? Yeah, we're not.
No, I actually said to Dennis, no, do what you want.
He knows he's got to keep us happy somehow. The big news is that it's the end of the season, the end of the Premier League season. So it is now time for me and Pete to go through our predictions of the Premier League season. I'm fairly sure Pete's done better than me on this, and so it's a little bit frustrating. Is that the right word?
We're looking at it already. I know I can see a couple of shockers in there already that we've both made.
So yeah, well we'll start off with the bottom five as we did last time. So 20th to 16th. Pete, do you want to just run through your bottom five that you predicted?
Yeah, to go down, it was West Brom, Burnley, and Fulham, and just to narrowly miss it was Villa and West Ham.
And then I had Fulham, West Ham, and West Brom to go down. So we could see the big standout shocker there for us.
Yeah.
And then Brighton and Burnley to be the two that avoided the drop. For me on this, I'll jump out and say I ended up with 4 of the 5. Pete ended up with 3 of the 5. I mean, I'll take the wins where I can. None of us predicted Sheffield United to finish bottom. No. Not even in the bottom. Like, we didn't even predict them to finish in the bottom 5, let alone rock bottom in the end. They pulled themselves up a little bit. Ended up with more wins, I believe. Yeah, more wins than Fulham and West Brom. But yeah, Pete did get the Fulham one correct.
Hang on.
There wasn't any crazy ones here. We were just sort of talking about players that might be able to keep these teams in the division.
Brighton, you've done well with Brighton and Burnley, I've got to admit. But
just the wrong way round. Yeah, I had them 16th and 17th, and they were 17th and 16th.
I think I've got them just above in the next group, but yeah, it was going to be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, and well done for getting Fulham bang on. That's the first double points, and
it's a bit of a shocker. The only team you've only missed one team out of there, to be fair.
Yeah, but to be honest, even now, actually, I was still back on paper at the start of the season. I'd still back Sheffield United over West Ham based on the last season's performance.
Yeah, we'll go on to West Ham, but yeah, they've done a couple of really. They've done a couple of signings, one major signing that's really turned their season around.
Sure.
We'll get onto that,
We'll get onto them when we're a bit further up the table. Pete, are we surprised that we've seen Sheffield United, West Brom and Fulham go down though this season?
Sheffield United, I know you said about what club did you say it was?
Wigan. Wigan did it, and then the Wigan effect, and then Reading did it like 3 seasons later. So they came up, they did a good job, finished top 10, and then went down the following season.
I think you said this about Sheffield United, and I think we were just both hoping that it was going to try and break it, and we both put them a bit higher. But you did say there was a really good chance that they could. So I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'm quite shocked. I was quite shocked. Sheffield United went down. Yeah, it's a really bad season for them.
For the entire season, I was really hoping for maybe a bit more of a sort of relegation battle, but those bottom 3 were set on for pretty much the entire season, weren't they?
Yeah, I've got to admit, Fulham done quite well to almost get out at one point. Because at one point I thought it was on the cards, but yeah, it's just too much.
We say almost out. They were still 11 points behind Burnley in 17th, so yeah, it's going to be a big rebuild for those guys next season.
Massive.
I mean, Sheffield United are currently without a manager, West Brom without a manager, Fulham. Will they keep Scott Parker? I don't know, maybe. But it'd be nice to maybe see Chrissy Wilder back in the Prem, and sad that Big Sam ended his streak at last of never being relegated.
The thing is, I think it's going to be quite hard for these teams to just bounce back up, because it's going to be a lot more challenging next season. There's some big boys in the Championship still.
For sure. Shall we move on to the next 5?
Yeah.
Right. So me and Pete have just watched our next 5 predictions that we had.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as I thought it might be. So in ascending order, me and Pete were hoping for Southampton, Crystal Palace, Wolverhampton Wanderers, Newcastle, Aston Villa. And my first five, in my five there, were Villa, Sheffield United, who are all the way down here, Palace, so I was only 1 point off of them, Leeds, who were 9th in the end, and Southampton, which, again, I put them higher than they were. I don't feel like I did awfully in that second half, but it's so hard to predict the top of the bottom half of the table.
Yeah.
Because usually the points aren't very much in it. And to be fair, this season wasn't much difference. I mean, Villa were on 55, but then after that, Newcastle were on 45, and you go right down to Brighton, who were on 39. And that wasn't a big difference in sort of points, apart from Villa, who were obviously comfortably sort of above the rest. There, it was I didn't do too badly, I guess. Pete, your next five were
Sheffield United, Southampton, Palace. I had Brighton up in 12th.
a bit high for the Brighton lot as well.
Yeah. And Leeds in 11th.
And Leeds, you put yourself closer than I did. So I mean, for this lot here in this table,
really hard.
They've not had an awful season, none of them. Southampton may be a bit disappointing considering the fact that they were towards the top of the table at the start of the season, weren't they? And doing really well, and then they dropped massively. And
well, I think Leeds had a bit of a shocker as well because they started off like and everyone bit of an eye opener. But I noticed today Leeds they've got the most amount of points for a newly promoted team since 2001.
Oh, that's bloody good going.
2001-2002 season. They had the most points for a newly promoted team. So.
Fair play. No, that's really good going. But apart from that, I mean, we'll get to them again because again, Leeds weren't even in this, so they smashed it and they did better than we expected with us having them in 11th and 12th. Me and Peter decided the way that this is going to work. So we were thinking maybe you'll get a point for being in the zone, 2 points for being bang on, but I think that gets complicated. So what me and Peter are going to do, when I edit this, we aren't going to actually know who's won this. I've got an inkling who's going to have won this, but what we'll do is every position that we were off with a team is a point. So say, for example, Sheffield United, we are 20th. I had them 14th. I would be 6 points off. There's something like, it'd be 6 points, wouldn't it? 6 difference. And then whoever's got the least, when you tally them up, is the winner.
Yep.
So the aim is obviously to still get as little as you can, as close as you can.
Right, and Sheffield United are going to kill me.
They're not though. Sheffield United, you still did better than me.
Yeah.
You had them 15th. I had them 14th.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an issue there. The West Ham one is going to be a killer as well because they finished a lot higher than I had them. And what did I have them as 19th?
I had them in 17th.
So great.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
We'll start moving on to the next 5 then, and see how we got on, sort of on the Europa League conference positions.
Yeah.
We've just watched the next segment, the segment that I needed to beat Pete on, and I knew that this was going to be the decider for me, and I'm fairly sure that Pete's beat me. Pete's not sure, but I'm fairly sure he's beat me quite comfortably at this point.
I knew this was the one that I was going to get battered on.
You didn't do it.
I thought, but then you picked very similar.
We picked very similar, and I did probably a little bit worse than you. There's one standout pick that you did worse than me on, but I don't think it's enough. So we'll go through our sort of 10th spots at the same time. So I had Wolves, and Pete had Newcastle. So I actually did worse off than Pete there.
You did.
So that's not great. We then had I had Newcastle. Pete had Leicester. So I had 3 places. Pete had 4 places. It's
pretty even.
Much of the muchness. I then had Leicester. Pete had Tottenham. So Pete's beat me there. In 7th, thankfully, I had Tottenham bang on. Pete had Wolves. Oof.
Yes. That's
a 6-pointer, that is. That's a 6-pointer. It's not a West Ham level, but it's a 6-pointer. And in sixth place,
You know what? I think
sixth
that's
place-
going to be the one that kills me because West Ham, we didn't have that far apart. I mean, that's going to be a
I
massive.
mean, but we say that Wolves. We both still have Wolves in this segment. So
Yeah.
and then in sixth we both found out Everton. So as the season actually panned out, Everton were 10th. They didn't have an awful season. They didn't have a standout season. They were only 3 points behind Tottenham in the end. Actually,
The worst thing was there was the signings they made and the players they had there. I really thought there was a bit of hope for them. And I hate saying that.
yeah.
I really thought they were going to impress.
I think for me this is their season to forget because, like I said, with the signings they got, with the manager they have, they should probably have done a bit better than 10th, really. I mean, you can argue who could they jump ahead, but then West Ham finished 6th, so that's where they should have been aiming for, realistically.
And if they do make the signings, the rumoured signings they're going to make, I'm going to be predicting to get relegated.
The problem is their rumours get everybody, and
Well, there's
only one reason that they're rumours to get these people. They're all the same reason that they're rumours to get these big names, and that's because of Ancelotti.
There's one name in particular that he's actually looking at buying a house apparently, and I can't believe he's going to play for the Blues.
Who's that? Koulibaly? Or you're about Coutinho?
Yeah.
I mean, but again, I'm fairly sure it's only moving because of Ancelotti. And if we're going to find out over the next couple of days about what the deal is with Zidane, because apparently they're in talks again now about potentially him staying, and potentially that. Well, Zidane's denied it from the start that he's ever said that he was leaving at the end of the season. So time will tell. But for me, Ancelotti makes a perfect sense to be his replacement at Real Madrid, ex-Real Madrid man, coming back in, steady the ship, steady the players, because players obviously play for him. He's got the league titles there. He's got the league titles at Bayern. I think Everton are going to struggle a bit with Jose Mourinho managing them next season. That would be bold, wouldn't it?
That would be.
Nah, I feel like we're more likely to end up with someone like Eddie Howe or Big Sam back or something. You know, if Ancelotti does go.
You know, I could see a big name going there. If they do change it, I think it'll be a big name. They need to step up.
I mean, it's hard to step up from Ancelotti, though, one of the greatest managers of all time.
I think they need to look at that caliber of manager again and not look at the mid-table kind of managers.
Mm-hmm. It depends what they're after, really. If they're after somebody they've never really replaced, and that was in Moyes. I mean, Eddie Howe. I've always said Eddie Howe will fit that bill. He's still not been given a job. He may get that job at Crystal Palace. We've not heard anything yet what that deal is. Frank Lampard's been rumoured to be going there for a couple of weeks now, but that's been on and off. So we'll see.
Lampard's rumoured to go everywhere at the minute.
Well, that's it. He's a free agent. He's an English manager. He's managed Chelsea, so I mean, no one's expecting him to go back into like a big job. But I mean, in Everton, that's probably a perfect fit for him.
Yeah.
Leeds, great season for them. Great season. Whether they drop down or not, this has been a great season for them. So I think they've done well. Would you anything to add to Leeds really, apart from that they've had a bloody good season? You said earlier on the
the record amount of points for a newly promoted side in 20 years.
That's good, isn't it? So
20 years actually.
If I said it before on these predictions, actually, how good Bielsa was. So if they can keep hold of Bielsa again for another season, it only bodes well. And I think they need to start looking about ready for his replacement, because it's very clear that they're not going to sack him ever, and that he'll leave his own choice. So they're going to have to have a replacement ready for him.
I read today that he was re-signing, but I don't know if that's a year or.
My assumption would be a year due to his age. And
I'm sure it was a year I read.
He has had a few health concerns before, so it wouldn't surprise me if it's only for 1 year.
I'm sure it was just a year.
Yeah. Arsenal 8th. I mean, finished up only a point behind Tottenham in the end, but it does feel like they've had a woeful season. I don't know about you. It's weird.
Yeah, it's been awkward for him because Aubameyang, there was the whole. Will he the contract negotiations? Will he stay? Was he going? he was on fire. Then when he signed the contract, he just weren't performing.
It was awful.
Yeah, and then they seemed to gel a bit towards the end, and then it was really bad because the way they lost out on that European spot, because they were 3 minutes away from getting into Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
not really
also,
much
also
else.
they've missed out on the Europa League final this season as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, Europa League spot. See, Europa League isn't just a spot for to win a trophy. That was their chance to get in the Champions League. Let's not forget that. That's what you get for winning the Europa League.
The thing was, I watched that first leg of their semi-final, and yeah, the second half they really stepped up, and I thought, you know what, they're going to go on and do this. This could be an all-English final, and then they just fell apart, which is a bit gutting for Arsenal fans.
Does it?
'cause-
Does it not sum up their season though as a whole? They sort of
Yeah.
have promise and then they fall apart.
Yeah, it's just been a bit of a strange one. It's been really, really strange, especially when you see players like Willett going out on loan at teams like Newcastle
He's
and
done
really, really shining.
Yeah, he's done really well.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a shock because they could have really done something like that there.
I mean, it's not. Apart from the owners, I mean, their future looks kind of bright. I mean, we'll probably get to the owners at some point. But yeah, they got potential there. They got potential to steady the ship for next season. The next two London clubs, Tottenham and West Ham. What a mixed season these two teams had. West Ham absolutely smashing it all season to the level that we expected for sure, and I think most people expected. Nobody expected West Ham to probably finish even top 8, let alone getting in conference into Europa League ahead of Tottenham, who are having to settle for the newly formed conference.
Yeah.
Europa Conference, something like that.
Europa Conference, yeah. It's Spurs, yeah, pretty much on par with what we thought. We both picked them around there. Like I said, I think the big thing for them was managing to beat Arsenal to Europe within 3 minutes. And it was a Bale goal that really done it, which was kind of the last few games, it was like Arsenal have really stepped up, but like Tottenham have done it for quite a bit of the season. And that was without Harry Kane finished top goal scorer. And he was more of an assist man this year as well.
He got a lot of assists, to be fair to him.
It was absolutely crazy to look back and think that, hold on, he's still top goal scorer this season. Really well there.
Yeah.
And West Ham, I think the loan deal of the year definitely.
West Ham have just been bonkers this year. I just don't understand how they've managed to stay up there.
I think a lot of people were criticising Jesse Lingard when he went. And I was like, he's not good enough. He ain't going to make the second he joined there, on his debut, he scored. And he was smashing them in constantly. Yeah. Got his England call up again, just through play. It seems like he's found a club that he can play for.
So the Euros are being announced, I think. The England Euro squad's being announced on Tuesday, I think.
Yep.
Do you take him?
Definitely. 100%.
You do?
100%. At the minute,
the thing is, that's probably our strongest position in football in the England squad at the minute, is that attacking midfielder spot, because he's not going to get in the squad ahead of Foden.
No.
For me, arguably, I wouldn't have him ahead of. They're slightly different positions because Grealish plays a little bit out to the left, but I probably would still have Grealish over him. Is he going to get ahead of Mount? And it's like there's a lot of names that suddenly are in the mix now.
There is, but if you take it on form, he's got to be one of the favourites at the minute. And I said that, and people said to me, like when the England friendlies got played, and I said about him getting called up, and they're like, no, ain't going to happen, not going to happen. On form, the guy was absolutely amazing.
I mean, he has
confidence as well.
I think maybe his first player of the month this year as well, didn't he? I think that was his first ever one.
Yeah.
So fair play to the lad, and he's done really well. Let's take a little step back though. Tottenham, we mentioned the fact, we haven't mentioned it yet, but we know the fact that we did mention it, that we sort of as a pair on that one made quite a bold prediction, and it's a prediction that maybe is a little bit later than we was expecting, but could still happen maybe in the next couple of months.
Yeah, I threw out as my bit of a wildcard prediction, because we both picked one.
Yeah.
Mourinho was going to be sacked. I said by the time the first transfer window come around.
In January, yeah.
Yeah, I said Mourinho will be sacked. And then you followed up with, well, hold on a minute. Let me throw another little bit onto that. What did you decide?
I said that his replacement would be Nuno Espirito Santo, his former player. And, I mean, he's just announced that he has left by mutual consent now, 3 days ago, that he is, 3 days ago? 2 days ago? Yesterday? Yeah. I don't know, it was weird. They sort of initially announced that it was on the 21st of May, and then I was like, but that's before the final game. He did the final game, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he was announcing that he was leaving at the end of the season.
Yeah, it was weird.
But it was all very rushed. It was a big rush job all of a sudden, come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes you think: has he spoken to somebody else?
Reports are saying that he hasn't got another club lined up because at the end of the day, why would he not have another client? Why would he have a club lined up, be able to resign and hand his notice in, and then Wolves get no compensation for him? It seems a bit weird considering we've just had Julian Nagelsmann go from RB Leipzig to Bayern Munich for 25 million.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I ain't going to go for 25 million's worth, but you might get a good, 7-8 million for him. That's enough for a player.
Yeah, definitely would. Wolves could really do with that, to be fair. They've, it's all a bit strange.
And the thing that hadn't come into my mind is that he hasn't been mentioned yet, but I kind of could see Jose go into Wolves now. Because, what's his name slips my mind, but the super agent, the Portuguese super agent that's got such a strong hold on that club.
Well, I was about to say the whole Portuguese connection as well.
Yeah, well, that's it, because it's only been Portuguese managers linked. Obviously, Santo himself was Portuguese. I believe Jose, I don't know what his relationship is with him, but I'm sure at one point he used to be his agent. So whether that's still the case, I don't actually know, but I'm fairly sure the special one days, he was his agent. Jorge Mendes, that's his name, isn't it?
You know what? I can kind of see it as well, because you talk about Wolves and players joining Premier League clubs. Wolves isn't one that people, a top name that club players talk about. But Mourinho's the kind of man that will get people to join. Play for Mourinho.
It's a similar. It'll be a similar deal to Ancelotti at Everton.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, just a couple of spanners to throw in there, and one more, Pete. Do you think West Ham could keep this up for next season?
You know what? Now they're in a European competition. Hopefully they get a couple of names. They've who did they have out on loan as well? I actually forgot.
Haller's gone, but is he out on loan or is he something? So Haller's sold, didn't they? I think.
Yeah, I can't even think. There was a player that really performed from last year. Well, we said he actually underachieved a bit last year, and he went out on loan, and he's not being signed. Do you know what? It's really bugging me. I can't.
Is it the striker, Haller?
Yeah. No, it wasn't. No? Wasn't him. Hold on. I should have noticed this before. Searching. Sure it was. You know, I'll have a look and I can't even think who it was. But I know there was a player that was still looking quite good. One of their top players. And he went out on loan and we was like, we can't work out why he's not performing.
Not somebody like Manuel Lanzini or someone like that?
No, I'll remember in a minute. I'll remember.
Sorry, I'm just going to get a roster up and see if I can see there are players out on loan.
Sure they had a player on loan. So it's a Roma or...
Felipe Anderson.
Felipe Anderson's coming back.
Felipe Anderson was out on loan to Porto this season. So
they're not signing him. He's coming back to West Ham.
So, I mean, could he do something? That could massively help them. So, yeah, I mean, time will tell, and we'll get into our predictions for West Ham when the time comes to start next season.
At the end of the day, a team that's now got into Europe, there's a bit of money there, and it's European football. So it's an attractive club to go to at the minute because you'll be a standout player.
Yeah, for sure. Right, final five. Right, final five. Me and Pete thought we had the 5th place the same. We didn't. I got it wrong.
We thought you both picked Arsenal for 5th.
So I thought we both picked it up for Arsenal for 5th. Pete went Arsenal. Fine. He's lost a lot of points there. I still went Man U to finish 5th instead of 2nd.
You lost even more points.
Because then Arsenal were 4th. and then Pete also had Chelsea, which was right. And then I predicted Man City to finish 3rd, Liverpool to finish 2nd, Chelsea to win the bloody league. Pete had them all right. Pete from 1st to 4th had it bang on. I don't know.
And your face when you realised that I had a Manchester 1 and 2. You weren't pleased.
Man, I'm still not bloody pleased about it now, even though that's what happened.
Like I said, I think those two clubs just really need to step up again. Liverpool made them. I know I'm saying it because it sounds a bit big-headed, but they made them look a bit silly last year. And I think if they didn't step up, jobs were on the line. If Liverpool had done that again,
yeah, and that was sort of
they had to.
I went with Chelsea to win the league, just because of the sheer fact that they would look like they were just starting to get such a tight-knit group.
I think the thing was that everyone thought that, and that's what's cost Lampard his job, because it wasn't gelling, and it cost him his job in the end. And people like Arteta at Arsenal, there was strong links about him losing his job for performance. So all those things needed to step up this year, and United and City done it. Liverpool managed to hold on.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, Liverpool saved their season by finishing 3rd because we didn't deserve to finish 3rd. We didn't deserve to get Champions League football, in my opinion. Grateful we got it. Chelsea, I hate the fact that they've ended up there now because the Leicester totally deserve to be in Champions League spots coming into the season.
This is going to be another thing that people hate me saying. I'm glad Leicester didn't make it.
How so?
Seems like Chelsea will make that step up, and they are going to come good. They've got some quality players there, and I want the best teams to represent this country in Champions League. And if you throw Leicester into that, I say Leicester, if they got to the quarters, semis, that's quite good for Leicester. Where Chelsea, Liverpool, United, City, all teams that could go on to the final and possibly even win it.
Mm-hmm. But
that's what I want to see.
But then I put the counter argument in that 2 weeks ago, a week ago, Leicester beat Chelsea.
Yeah.
So why are they not better?
Yeah.
Also, we're talking about Leicester not being in it, Chelsea being in it. But what if Chelsea go and win the Champions League now? How annoying would that be?
Yeah.
We could have ended up with Leicester in it and Chelsea still being in it. We could have ended up with all 5.
Yeah, that was. But I think this is the thing. It was that close, where the last day of the season, that last match, we had Leicester, Chelsea, and Liverpool all in that last Champions League spot. Mm-hmm. It was a lot more exciting than last year. At least it went down to the final.
I mean, thankfully we had something to look for the fight because the title was well gone. The relegation was well done. The season, in terms of it not having a crowd, this was probably the right season. Thankfully, the season to have it because the atmosphere for it, I think, has been lacking. So I'm looking forward to hopefully it doesn't kick up again and we can actually have full crowds all the next season. We go back to reality a little bit. That'd be nice.
I think what was amazing, that last game of the season, I was going through social media and seeing a lot of fans celebrating. Like West Ham fans managed to see their final game qualifying.
Yeah.
Liverpool fans getting to Champions League, absolute buzzing.
No, it was great that Man City fans actually were able to watch their club lift the trophy because that was something that we never got to do as Liverpool fans. That we weren't in the ground when we lifted the trophy. Or were we? We weren't. Were we?
No, we weren't. It was at the Chelsea game. Yeah, Chelsea game, wasn't it?
What, at Anfield?
Yeah, because they done the big.
Yeah, they did. They did it up in the Kop, didn't they? The trophy lift.
Yeah,
weird.
That's what I mean. and they had the whole massive presentation. It actually went on for about an hour or so.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not upset about it because we probably won't ever win one in my lifetime again.
I've actually got it recorded in the other room, and I've always kept it on there just in case.
Yeah, Leicester had such a good season. Brendan Rodgers done a great job again. That squad looks strong. Aging a little bit in some places. Vardy, obviously you got the likes of depth. You got the depth disappearing a little bit now. Now that you got no Morgan, Fuchs is going. But I mean, they're making not good signings. I like that Fofana. He seemed very, very good.
Yeah, he did. Really. He was a handful for Salah when we played them.
So my hope for Leicester this season, and it's not even an unrealistic hope, because they've got. We might as well talk about it now. They've got the best owners in English football.
Yeah.
By a long way. Absolute country mile. Their owner is superb.
And they back them on whatever they need. And the thing is, when they won the FA Cup, don't forget Leicester won that as well. And to have the players get the owner on the pitch like that and celebrate, you don't see that other clubs.
It means a lot, doesn't it? Because there's obviously the big elephant in the room is his dad dying and what they all thought of Viche and all that. But the fact is that he's carried on with people wouldn't have cared as much if they didn't love Viche as much as they did, and that he was a man of Leicester. Like, obviously not from Leicester, clearly, but he grew to become a Leicester person, and the fans love that. And I think his son's doing the exact same job. The fact is, I don't know if you've seen it, but I can't remember where I actually seen it today, but the Leicester owner was throwing out all of the brand new, not even released Leicester kit to the kids around the stadium in the last game of the season yesterday.
No, because his dad ran it a certain way. He didn't have to do that. He's literally followed them. The players love him as much.
Yeah, and so good, especially after the season we've had with having this Super League nonsense, which people have been stressing about, and I said to you straight away, didn't I, Pete? I said it's not going to happen. Don't stress about it. It's not going to happen. It's
when it looked like it was definitely happening that night, and
it's impossible for it to happen because the fact that the laws were in place in these leagues, and they'll be even stricter now for it to ever happen. That playing teams will be. I'd imagine there's going to be laws in places for these leagues where teams will be kicked out just for even proposing to be entered into it.
I think we've gone.
But I couldn't have seen players staying in it. The fact that teams, countries and stuff were willing to ban, well, not even teams, FIFA were willing to ban players from World Cups and whatnot.
Yeah.
Not happening. Players grew up loving the Premier League. They grew up loving the Champions League. They grew up loving La Liga, depending on obviously where you're from. They're the trophies they dreamed of winning. Not the European Super League that's literally made to make the richer richer.
The only thing I will say with Leicester is they've got the FA Cup win, which is the first time they've ever won that, which is brilliant. They're in European competition.
It's still a good and group stage. They're straight in group stage. Obviously, they just position in the league, but they also doubled that up with the FA Cup. So either way, they'd have been group stage.
Exactly. So they need to keep the players like Telemans, Michael, key players like that, because Iniacho's coming through.
Yeah.
Where he's this season he started to play okay because Vardy's lost that yard. So,
but Vardy's still such a good player.
Definitely, but they need to keep hold of those key players because they're at that, like you said, they're at that balance where it's starting to get a bit aging. There'll be youngsters coming through.
Well, here's for me is the time that they go and spend money.
Yeah,
not a lot of money, but it's time to bring him back. It's time to bring back Riyad Mahrez. Because
they do need to show that they're willing to do a bit, because otherwise those key players, like I said, Telemann, Schmeichel, there's going to be some big teams looking at those.
Well, it is completely, that's what I'm saying, it's completely time to get Mahrez home. Mahrez isn't a guaranteed starter at Man City. He's played a fair bit this season, but I mean, offered the right money, offered the right wage, even if they went, you're our highest earning player.
Yeah.
And got him in, it would be the right thing to do.
And the thing is, I could see then if there was if the club and the board were showing that they're willing to make improvements like that, you're allowed to pick players like Telemans going, you know what?
I'll stay. I'll stay.
Big might be after me one more year.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes. I'll give him one more year because he's still going to be good enough for the year's time to go to these big clubs.
Yeah.
But we'll give him one more year and see how it goes. And for all we know, they could have Leicester have won the league with a lot worse team if they get a couple of big signings in there.
Yeah. I mean, we could do these final four as sort of as a group because they were sort of there as a season. But Man City, another great Pep rebuild. I said on the last predictions, I think I might have said that I don't rate him, and that's not actually what I meant from the start. I meant that I think he is overrated to what people say he is. I've heard people say about him being the greatest of all time, and I just shake my head at that. No. He's if he did what he does with a lot less money, then I would completely agree. Yeah. But it's the fact that he's had money everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere. Yeah. If he'd gone and I don't know, if he'd done a Diego Simeone and won the league with Atletico Madrid or something, yes, agree completely. World's best manager. If he then goes off and wins leagues elsewhere as well. I'm not saying Diego Simeone is the best in the world, by the way. But I'm just saying, for example, somebody that's done it without money, as such. And he's done a great job rebuild. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think, has done a fantastic job at United. A manager I still don't rate at all. I still rate it as being the worst manager that I've ever witnessed in the history of the Premier League at Cardiff.
Cardiff, yeah.
Genuinely,
it's really bad.
I could have managed that team better than he did that season. So we went and watched him once, and I was just like, I'm confused about tactics. What the bloody hell's the players doing? They're running about, not listening to the manager. I'm stood in the stands, 20, 30 yards from him. I didn't have a clue what he was on about. What a chance has the bloody left winger right over the other side of the field got? You know, it's like stupid. The guy was clueless, but I mean, he's got it right at United at the minute, and he's got them into the Europa League final and Champions League spot in second place.
Yeah,
I can't knock it. I want to knock it, but I can't.
There's nothing you can really say with that, and it's not even like any player there has had the most amazing season. Things have just worked there for once.
I mean, Fernandes gets a lot.
Fernandes was always a great player.
He gets a lot of stick because people call him Fernandes and whatnot. But
do you know what we said last season, that he was going to make a big difference to them, and getting someone like Cavani in was one of the key points as well.
Cavani's such a good player.
The thing was, I was really worried that Cavani was going to come to the Premier League and just not. You get certain players that just can't adapt, and I really was worried.
Yeah, so I know you're thinking of players like Falcao, Samuel Eto'o. Players that, like, okay, they scored a couple of goals, but they weren't anything special to write home about. But players like Falcao and Eto'o had bad injuries before they came. Yeah. Cavani, he's maybe out for maybe 6 weeks of the season every year, but he is still one of the few strikers in this league that I would say are world-class players.
But he's even now signed a year's extension, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been a really good teacher for someone like Greenwood, I think, and I think that's been an underrated signing this season actually for me. It's very well you mentioned it.
I was bigging up Greenwood for this season. I really think next year, having worked with Cavani for a whole year now, you could see something special coming out of Greenwood.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe he just wasn't just ready. I really bigged up him and Foden, and Foden shone. Outshone what everyone thought he was going to do. But yeah, Greenwood, I'm still hopeful for.
Well, Greenwood isn't. I don't think he's a right winger, but that's been Man U's issue for a couple of seasons, a fair few seasons now, realistically. And you can argue the fact they probably don't need to worry about it right now because Greenwood's doing such a good job playing on that right wing.
Yeah.
And then you got Liverpool, Chelsea. Just a season of mixture. It's been frustrating. Like, we can't even put the Liverpool's issues down to defenders all the time. There was so many mistakes, stupid issues. Alisson made a lot of errors this season, to be fair to him. In all fairness, he had a lot going on with his dad drowning.
But do you know what?
You still got to play the football in front of you. But I mean, he's the only reason we're in the Champions League now.
Yeah. And I've got to say, outstanding. So there was one picture of Williams and Phillips.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the last game of the season, busted eyebrows, the pair of them. Just stand there, and I'm like, look, fair play. Because people are talking about Phillips going already. I know they've put a 10 million price tag on him, but they're saying like he's going to be 6th, 7th choice centre back.
So I thought I was fairly sure that Nat was done, and that we should have sold him last summer. Because I don't know if you heard where they both were last season.
Oh.
So we had the final finishing centre backs of Nat Phillips and Reece Williams. One was at Stuttgart in the 2nd division of German football. Reece Williams was in the Conference North for Kidderminster Harriers 1 year ago.
Did you? This is what also I found amazing. Up until the last game of the season, because of the last game, because they partnered up last game of the season, they were the most consistent pairing we had all season.
I know. And to be fair, I'd keep them. I'd keep obviously Van Dijk coming back.
Yeah.
Gomez isn't going anywhere. For me,
that's it.
That's our 4. I'd get rid of Matip. I'd get rid of Matip. I wouldn't sign Kabak, and I wouldn't sign what's his name coming in, Kanate, something like that. Yeah. I don't see the need. As long as Van Dijk's injury it doesn't recur. I mean, obviously have something there for a loan deal for somebody maybe, just in place as a temporary thing, as a thing. So you maybe keep an eye on the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid about who's not going to be playing for them next season as sort of starters, and just maybe have agreements at the back of your mind as sort of loan deals that we can maybe bring in should Van Dijk's injury flare up again.
So would you still say you're going to rate Gomez as a starter with Van Dijk?
I mean, when they're fit, I still probably would. To be fair, when they're both fit and let's say everybody's fit, everybody's on their best form. Yeah. Nat Phillips is great, and I would probably name Nat Phillips is probably the one above Reece at the minute. But we not to forget, Nat is, I think, older than Joe.
Yeah. Joe Gomez is someone that was. I think he's been trained up in basically every position. I think I've seen him play left back, right back, as cover, and if he starts to find a place, I'm happy.
Yeah, he's handy to stay there. It's just when he can. Injury free. We have talked about Liverpool a lot this video, but screw us, we're Liverpool fans. What can we say? Yeah. Chelsea, Frank Lampard.
I think that was the problem.
And I still say this to this day. Frank Lampard was, I think, was harshly done by at Chelsea.
It was a big job to step into as Javarsham. He was an absolute hero there. I think that's the thing. It would have been like us throwing Gerrard in now, and it's.
You gotta give them more time than what they did, in my opinion. And if you're gonna fall into Europa League for a season or two, so be it. But if they saw Frank as their long term,
you need to give them time. I think we actually said when the prediction video, I'm sure it was in there. I know we mentioned it in one of the videos, and we said that Lampard's going to have to be a long term thing, and we didn't want him to go. Oh, we're not performing. Let's get rid of him and get someone else in. But the thing is, would he go back maybe one day, but it just wasn't the right time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Tuchel's come in and done a good job. It's not somebody that I thought would do a particularly good job. I've always rated him as a B-Tech Klopp. He may have even had the Mainz job before Borussia Dortmund, actually. But he had the Borussia Dortmund job, and he did a good job, but it was never Klopp level. He then obviously had the PSG job, and it was never quite as good as some of his couple before him. It was one that I wasn't overwhelmed for the sake of the Chelsea fans, but
to be fair, he got a Chelsea team that's still not gelled properly. There's still partnerships to be made there, and he got them into a Champions League spot.
Champions League final, mate. We still haven't played that yet. So.
And Champions League final,
and becomes the first manager in history to make it to 2 Champions League finals in a row with 2 different clubs. And that is probably a good way to finish this episode, because, well, I got a couple more things, but I think in terms of that, I think that's a great thing that's never going to be broken by anybody.
Yeah.
quick one though, Pete. Your manager of the year?
Manager of the year. You know, I've seen a few things flying about.
I have three. Four in mind.
Right. It's a hard one because there's one that's been bugging me, and I've seen constantly, and I try and argue with it, but I can't. That's Steve Bruce.
It's not one I had in mind, but
I tried to argue it. Someone's put Steve Bruce, and I'm sitting there trying to argue it again. He's had a bad start, and he did have a bad start. He's turned Newcastle around.
For me though,
The only other person I can think of is going to West Ham.
So for me, if we're talking Bruce, the dead giveaway is that Villa are a team that you'd expect them to be sort of around. They finished a place behind them, right? But they still finished a massive 10 points behind them.
Yeah.
So that rules it out for me straight away. West Ham, David Moyes, good shout. I then had Brendan Rodgers up there for Leicester.
Brendan Rodgers is really good, but he's a nearly man for me at the minute, and it's hard to get away from that. Liverpool, nearly at Liverpool, nearly at Leicester, and it bugs me.
But I mean, he did win the FA Cup this year, so
yeah.
Pep's obviously there because
Pep's up there, yeah.
Great season, but this is still not Pep level. But for me, and are you ready for this? My manager of the season is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Wow.
I know. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
What I will say, anyone go back and watch the.
He's in this episode, mate. Me slagging it.
This wow. Did you? It was this actual one that you really rinsed him as well, man.
How about Cardiff? Yeah, he was awful at Cardiff.
I know you've mentioned it a few times in a few videos.
Yeah.
Because there was two things that could really make Dan switch, and that was rating Solskjaer and rating Paul Pogba.
We're not even gonna go about Paul Pogba.
Don't go there.
Right, if you dare say this name now, I will just end this Zoom call right now and end the video. Your player of the season.
My player of the season was someone I had hopes for, and I'm going to go Phil Foden.
Fair enough. So I obviously had the likes of Harry Kane in there. Kevin De Bruyne's always up there, but I don't think he's had his ultimate best season. No. But I'm actually going to go with I think he won PFA Writers Player of the Year, and I'm going to go Ruben Diaz for Man City because what a way to get into it. He looks potentially, now this is probably going to be the boldest statement of the episode. He looks like he's going to be a better player than Vincent Kompany. Like,
he has forced his way in, and we said it's somewhere they needed to look at last season, and he kind of just dominated and forced his way in there.
So I think with their captain system that they have a 5-man captain system. They have Fernandinho as main, De Bruyne, Sterling, Walker, and Gundogan. Yeah. And I think the Fernandinho will go this summer. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ruben Diaz jump a lot and be named captain. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think the only reason I went Foden, there's not many players there now. But
I can see Foden, to be fair, mate.
I just think there's not many players that they will. He has to stay, and this is one of their players that are like, you know what, we can replace people. We've got money. We cannot replace Phil Foden.
Yeah,
I think he's the future of English football. To be honest,
I think so. So yeah, guys, we were sort of making this just our reaction to our predictions video, but I think we've sort of covered it all in one. This is our end of season podcast as well, realistically, as well as the predictions video. So thank you very much for watching. You'd have found out maybe about 5-10 minutes ago who'd won. So well done, Pete, because I'm sure it was you, and I was probably a good 20 points behind you on it. It was I don't think it was even close. So well done, mate. Anything else to add?
No, it's been fun. It's been definitely interesting to look back and see the West Ham mistakes and Sheffield United mistakes.
Yeah.
But it's been good. I'm looking forward to next season already now, actually.
Me too, and the Euros to be fair. So I think once we see the squads a little bit, we might even do our predictions on the Euros as well, see how they go.
Yeah, because some of the squad announcements have been made already, and there's a few shippers. So
I think we'll see the majority of them done within the next couple of weeks. So we'll do our predictions on that then. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. Please leave a like, share, subscribe, and we will catch you in the next one.
Yeah.